All right, I'm going to give it a minute here. It looks like we're live and I am right on time. Success, there we go. All right, make sure my volume is down and that I can see everybody finding us here, but it looks like we're good to go and get started. Welcome and happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope you're all having a great week so far. Now, hello, Flora. Thank you. I know I said last Thursday, if you were at my Facebook Live, I mentioned that I thought this was Snake Peek week. I was off by 1 week, so I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. Originally, our release was going to be this week, and more of those lovely supply chain issues, we had to push that out a little bit. So you can join us next week and we will have a sneak peek of the new release. But in the meantime, I thought it would be fun to kind of pull out as we're getting closer and closer to our Create and Connect, our next virtual event here in May. I thought I'd pull out a set from our last one in November. It's also released and available in our store, but it's, believe it or not, it's one I still have not used. And as I was just kind of brushing through my supplies yesterday, I went, how in the world have I not used this set? It's so pretty. And I thought it'd be fun to freshen it up and kind of mix it with another one of those hot foiled frames that we are just still in love with from our most recent release. And they pair so well with new and old and everything in between that this seemed like the perfect opportunity to kind of mix and match those together. I'm gonna make sure this is open on my phone so when we get started, I can see on there as well. And of course it closed before I was able to get it. All right, a couple of quick things here for everyone. First of all, if you're new, before I go over kind of some of the nuts and bolts, leave a little comment letting us know that you are new. We'd love to say hello and welcome you. And a huge welcome to all of our loyal friends that do join us every week. So super grateful for that. And I just saw Liam mention, I'm going to say this too so everyone hears it. We did send out the email yesterday for everyone who did register for Create and Connect that invites you to the private Facebook event. If you did not get that, some of them were turned as undeliverable. So keep an eye out for that. But if you haven't seen it, you can contact customer service at pinkfreshstudio.com. Leah left that email in the comment there. And check your spam folder before you do that. Every now and then I get something kicked over there. So if you don't see it, double check there. But in addition to welcoming everyone who is new, if you are curious about anything I used today, it is all linked in the video description. So it's there now, also available for replay. And hi, Barbara from Penfield. Welcome. So glad that you're here. So everything is there. If there's something you have a question about, still feel free to ask. Leah is behind the Pinkfresh Studio name today. She's my partner in crime, and we kind of back each other up on these lives most of the time. So if there's anything that I miss a question, she does a really great job of catching those. Often she answers them before I even see them and have a time to process my answer. But if somehow we both miss it, just leave that comment or question again. I promise we're not ignoring you. It's just easy to miss those sometimes when the chat gets busy. And speaking of the chat, that is how you are going to be entered for a chance to win today's $15 gift card. We give one away at every live, and those are just chosen from all of the comments. So leave those questions, leave those comments. Chat with all of the lovely other people that have joined us. If you see a question and you know the answer, feel free to pop in and answer that. All of those count as an entry. One other way that you can get an entry is if you share this video. There's a little share button on the bottom and you can click and get the code for that. You can share it on your Facebook page, on your social media, wherever you choose, in a message, in email. Send it to a friend that you'd like to come watch along with you. If there's a Facebook group and you know it's allowed in the rules, feel free to share it there. I love that little emoji there on your thing, Carla, partner in crime. I need that one. That is adorable. I love it. So cute. All right. Lost my whole train of thought there. I just saw that and I hadn't seen it before. So yes, all of those. And then one other thing that we really appreciate if you can do, I never get which side it is on, right? I think it's down there, somewhere down there. there's a little thumbs up or a like button. We'd love if you click that. It doesn't necessarily give you another entry or anything, but it does help more people to find us and just kind of helps get the word out for these videos. And then we can just grow our little group here and add more to this. So thank you, Donna. That'll be next week is our plan right now. All right, I think that's everything. I just realized I was so busy talking, I forgot to turn my hot foil machine on. So I'm gonna get that heating up and then I'll turn this around and we'll kind of talk a little bit about what we're gonna work on and do today. And get started on this today. So let me get my camera switched around and my desk. Oops, that was the wrong button. Sorry about that. All right. So these are the two things that we're going to pair up together. Oh, and Carla, Blaine, Washington, you are not that far. I have to go up to Bellingham today, so I will be practically in your neighborhood. Afternoon, evening, kind of late afternoon. And Norma, welcome, first time. I probably missed some other first time friends that I did. I'm just going to apologize in advance. But welcome to everybody. And all right, so this was one of the releases from our last Create and Connect event in November. It's this beautiful, I mean, the stamp set is so pretty already. In our event, we did a watercolor class on it, coloring it in. It's perfect for watercoloring, Copic markers. It's not a super huge image and it's got lots of perfect little areas that make it fairly easy to color without too much stress about shading. I just saw Lynn, last video is made you by the glimmer. I want to say sorry, but you're going to love it so much that really I should say you're welcome. That's the best I can say there. It is so much fun and so addicting. Jenna, we're talking about it. I think it might be next week. Just briefly, we just have to kind of sort out if we have enough extra product. So keep an eye out. We'll announce it on social media at the right time. Okay, so there's this coordinating die. And like I told you, I haven't even once used this die. Is still taped onto the packaging. It's how new it is. Peel that off real quick. But coordinating die, and then these fabulous layering stencils that Pinkfresh is so known for. This set is called Cosmo Sponge. And like Leah just said, we have all of the supplies are linked in the description of this post, so you can always reference any of that. All right, so we're going to use these layering stencils and the stamp and everything. And then I'm still just kind of keeping busy while I wait for my hot foil machine to heat up. Let me pull it over a little closer. Then we're going to use this fabulous nested hexagons. And what my plan, this is kind of how I lay out and get some ideas for cards. And welcome, Kimberly, first time today. All right, so a lot of times I'll pull like this hot foil plate when I kind of planned what I wanted to do. And what I decided, this might change as we go along, but my current plan is I think I'm going to create a window with this nesting die. I'm going to kind of just use half of the floral there tucked behind and then add my sentiment up there and kind of just do a popped up window with that in there. So that's the current plan and we'll see how that works out. I also have kind of a different color combo that I'm excited about to share with you. Starting with, Lee and I both tend to gravitate quite often to the warmer gold colors. But I thought it would be fun today to use, I haven't even used this silver foil. So I'm using all kinds of things today that I haven't. I have used some matte silver and I think the Gemini silver, but I haven't used this silver. So I'm going to use that today. And I'm just cutting off a piece. I've got my larger piece of cardstock. I've got this that I'll set on here. It's almost hot. I'm just waiting for it to finish heating. Oops. And I probably will pull out the solid foil plate and we'll do the reverse afterwards as well. I'm just going to bring that up in handy. We do, Karen, we do have plans for another card making event. Our goal is to do 2 of them a year is what we're hoping. So we also have a scrapbooking one coming up this summer. All right, I'm checking comments here while I wait. Oh, thank you, Audrey. I love, oh, And then the comment disappeared. And Michelle, yeah, I'm just kind of visual, so I have to kind of see it laid out, and sometimes that changes, but especially on a live, it's nice to kind of lay it out and have a plan for me, because sometimes that's going to change on a live, but I can't just pull out like 5 things and go, I'll just do something and it'll come together. I have to kind of visualize and put it together. I really only do that for lives, and oddly enough, those end up being my favorite cards. And D, I know it kind of does look like chrome, but it's a really pretty, and I don't know if anyone had missed this, but we actually now, and this is hot, yay, I'm gonna turn my timer on. We do now carry the Spellbinders Glimmer hot foil system in the Pinkfresh store, as well as we're building our collection of hot foil rolls, and this is one of the ones that we have. Some more sympathy. Yeah, Joanne, those are one of those ones that are hard but mean a lot. We had one, I think, that we recently retired that had some really great ones that was kind of designed by Leah. I'm kind of excited to use the silver foil per se, just with the color combo I picked. It kind of fit a little more of the cool colors, and I thought the silver would really work. And the hexagons will know it. Yes, they are pretty amazing. Someone is asking about finding Dee's blog. One thing I will suggest, if you do any of our blog hops, we always have the design team, of course, linked on those. So that is a good, quick way to find any of our design team's blogs. I believe, I mean, you could look back on any of the blog hop posts on the Pinkfresh site and find them pretty easily. All right, I'm going to, I popped this free from my thing just because things shift often if you don't do that. I'm going to lay my foil pretty side down onto my plate. Add that, add the 2 plates that come with it. Roll this right through my Spellbinders. Pop this back on here. I'm gonna pull off that thing real quick. Foil plate. Love my technical terms there. Foil the reverse with the solid foil plate. And let's do our magic reveal and see how this came out. Yay, teensy, tiny bit of overfoiling down at the bottom, but most of the time, I think I shifted a little bit when I put it in, but it's so little that I don't even think it's going to be noticeable. So pretty though. I love that silver. That came out really pretty. Okay, I'm gonna let that heat up for a few minutes and then we'll foil our reverse. I'm not sure which one we'll use today, so I'm gonna do both of them just because I wanna have the options. I'm gonna move this out of the way, and while we wait for that to heat up really well, if you're using our solid foil plate, it needs plenty of time to make sure it gets nice and hot. So I always give it lots of extra time. And someone's asking, how will we know if you open up more spots? We will announce it if you're on our email list. It will go on an email. If you keep an eye on our social media, I believe it also works on the Create and Connect. The spot on our website, if you sign up for in-stock notifications, I believe that that will give you notification too. Okay, while that heats up, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my image. I want to line up my stencils with my stamped image. So the best way to do that, because I want to stamp this, I debated on heat embossing, but I think I want to go with detail black on this one. But if I stamp it in detail black and line up everything, I'm going to have trouble with it smearing unless I stamp it in advance. Our detail black is a hybrid ink, which means it's both watercolor and Copic marker friendly. But what this also means, it takes a little time to dry. So if you ink blend over it, you're going to end up with black smears, and I don't want that. So I'm going to stamp in my MISTI. I'm going to make sure my paper is lined up in this bottom corner. I'm using a rather large piece of cardstock because I want extra room just to be able to stamp. I'm going to stamp this with, do I have the right one? Yes, Rocky Slope. It's the second in our gray. Really, anything you want to stamp it in is totally fine. I specifically chose this one instead of the lighter gray because I think it'll show up a little better on the video and easier to see. And I'm going to leave the stamp lined up in my MISTI so I can stamp it in this. I can do all my stenciling and I can put my cardstock right back in here, stamp again in the detail block, and it will stamp in the exact same spot over the top of this gray. And it'll work. And yeah, you can hit it with your heat tool, Vicki. The main reason I just personally prefer to do it this way is I don't like that the heat tool kind of warps my paper a little bit. It's not that big of a deal, but it's just a small preference that kind of bugs me a little bit. Lori, we have not opened up for the scrapbook event. It's going to be in June, and I'm not exactly sure when registration. We're kind of getting all of our ducks in a row. We just posted the sneak peek and who the instructors are on our social media a week or two ago. So there should be more info coming out on that very soon. Okay, I'm gonna grab my. And you know what? That stamped beautifully. I could stamp it again, but I'm going to stamp over it anyway at the end. All I need is enough to line up my stamped image with. So we're good to go on this. I am going to, not going to be that hard. I'm not even going to mess with stamp cleaner. I'm just going to lightly take my damp cloth and wipe the excess ink off there just so that I don't have to worry about that getting in the way. All right, I don't need to, but I'm just going to set this aside for a minute, let it dry, because I think our solid foil plate is plenty warm enough now. So I think it's time to do our reverse foiling here. So I can turn the timer on. It's already been heating, so realistically, it's not going to take very long to be ready. Hey, this is one of my many MISTIs, and it's probably not as clean as it looks on the video. It's got some staining on there, but it's for stamping, and I don't really care if it gets a little bit inky, so it doesn't bother me too bad. Let's see. Oh, Ash, no worries. You're not that late at all. Right, I'm still going to just wait out the timer on this. Like I said, it's been heating up, so it's been ready. The timer is a bit of a formality as it is, but I'm going to go ahead and. Oh, Jenna, you are in for a treat. This is your first event next. Is that your first online event ever? Because we might spoil you for any others. We send a really packed package of goodies, and I have seen all the product and it is fabulous. I can hardly wait. Okay, setting that on, setting my clean piece of cardstock over the top, my two things with just one piece cardstock shim. I like to do that with the solid foil plate. It just adds a little more pressure. And when I do the solid foil plate, I usually go through and then I also reverse it. I just figure the extra time and pressure is worth the few seconds that it takes. Okay. Off to the side, and let's go ahead. And we have a perfect image. Now you might see that little spot there that's a bit, you can probably see in the reflection, it's a little bit scuffed. This was a brand new roll, so that's where the tape that rolled it down, and I didn't want to waste that first part. And I'm going to trim around the frame. It's actually like I can see it barely there and barely there. It's almost completely not noticeable. So you probably see it more in the reflection on the video than it actually shows in real life. But just in case you notice that and we're wondering, what is that? That was what that was. Okay, we are done hot foiling. I'm going to move this out of the way, let this cool off. And small desk and limited space. Let's go ahead. Let's cut the windows out of these real quick because we're kind of on die cutting mode, and then we can move over to ink blending and stenciling. So first things first, on this one, I believe I'm just going to cut the window out of the center. That's my current plan. We might change our minds, but we'll start with that for now. And then I'll show you kind of what I have in mind for. There we go. Keep that center the window out for now. My extra little bits of tape, sometimes that sticks. I'm going to save my extra window there. And I'm going to carefully do both sides of this one. So I'm going to try, because when you put your adhesive tape on here, here's the tricky thing. Middle part on there first. I don't want to get any of the adhesive stuck on the foil because it's going to remove a little bit of. I think I carefully got them both on there and taped them together with the tape going over the outside. This way, if it works like I'm hoping, looks like it did. Perfect. I did not damage, so I have this perfectly foiled frame. And then I didn't do anything to damage this middle part. So we can use this as well if we want on there. So I have a couple of ideas that let's put these out of the way. And actually in the way this taped on, it didn't even hurt this frame. That worked perfect. So I can keep this and trim this down and even use it as a gold foiled window. So I probably will do that because there's no point wasting foil paper, right? And here's what I'm just going to do while I'm in the zone here. I think what I want to do is cut this down. I don't need to line it up perfectly. But I want to cut this, yep, and then my magnetic plate there. I'm not even taping this one in place because all I want, I've got that extra that could be saved. But now on the inside of my card, I've got that perfect foil edge on here and the white. So I can stick this on the inside of my card as kind of a fun detail that is where you can write like your sentiment or note on the inside. And then if not, I'll pop this in there or save that one for another card. The most addicting thing about these frames is how many different ways once you've when you hot foil, I was just hot foiling one frame and I have enough for several cards or all the different possibilities. So super duper fun. Now I could cut this with a die cut frame. I think I'm going to try to trim this down. Not entirely sure here. I'm going to try and trim it down to the size of an A2 card front. We'll see how it goes here. Sure yep, I didn't have that open all the way. Let's fix that because that was not quite there. I'm just eyeballing and getting it all square using the line on that. I'm looking here. I'm pretty close here to where I want this. these outer sides straight to start with. I can see I need a little more room there. I'm not too precise on this. This is just where I start to go, take off, shave off a little smidge there, shave off a little smidge there until it looks good. And then I think if I went there, I'm a little too close. So let's just take a little more off here. And that might make that perfectly. If not, we'll trim it down a little bit more. Oh, actually, I probably took too much there, but that's okay. I might just stagger it a little so the florals are off on one side. I had a feeling I might overcompensate that a little, or we'll trim it down smaller to fit on the card front, but wanted to start with it the exact size and then go from there. There's my brain at work, and I feel like I missed all kinds of comments. So let's move on and let's do our stenciling now. And then we can start putting this together and see how it works. Pull out my ink stand and those stencils. Now, I always use the back of the packaging as a reference, and I wanted to do, this is a very fall, winter, deep, cozy, warm, I guess it's cool colors, but to me, it feels like a wintry sort of color combo. But I'm going to do a very spring, bright, different color combo, but I still like using this as a reference to know, okay, I've got those big flowers, then the little flowers, and then the center, so I can kind of see how the colors work together on the layers. But we're going to start here with the stencil and the stamp turn the right direction to begin with. And I'm just going to match up, since I already did my stamping, I can just match up my stencil over my stamped image. And I'm going to do a little bit of an unexpected color combo. I'm going to start with blue for those big flowers. Set up my tea to get me able to function. So I'm going to use Summer Shower. And again, all of these ink colors are linked in the description. So if you miss a color as we go along, they are all down there. There's only 2 blues, 2 yellows, and an orange. So it'll be pretty easy to guess which one goes where. I'm not going to go crazy deep on my color combo because I don't want it to be a really dark blend. I just want to play with the color a little. Sometimes it's fun to do the unexpected, and you can match to nature. A lot of times I do pull up nature as my inspiration, but sometimes it's really fun to do something you can't necessarily see in nature, because it's something we can do on our cards. It's that artistic license that, you know, there's a lot of people that are just perfectly happy to do the same colors you would expect and see in nature. And I love those too, but I love playing around with different, let's see, 5x7 cards, Donna. We might have to do that sometime. I did some 5-inch square cards for Facebook Live last week, and we do slimline a lot. 5x7 are a little harder because we don't have rectangle dies and stuff like that that fit them. And it's harder to make a card base sometimes, for me at least. I have done 5x7 cards before, but I don't do them super often. You will take that as a challenge. Now, before I peel this off, I wanted to show you real quick. I don't know if you can see. I did a little bit of deeper color at the base of those flowers, and then around the outside of these, just to get a little color variation. So here is that first magical reveal. Layering stencils are the best for that magic. Okay, the next layer is going to be all of those little bitty, I'm just noticing now, I might have to change up my plan slightly. I told you I hadn't used this set yet, and I'm seeing that the centers of the flowers are going to go over the color I'm putting down now. So that might we might do a little bit of masking when we get to that point. But for now, these little flowers are going to start off as orange. So I'm going to switch out to Apricot and do a little orange over these. I think this is such a fun spring color combo, so I'm kind of excited about. So I might use one ink color that's not linked below, but I will update it as soon as the live is over. Because I don't know if I can blend blue over the orange and not have it be kind of a weird, ugly brown color. I have to test on a little. Oh, here, let's just, I'm gonna hit a little spot in the upper corner here. As soon as I peel this off, I'll do a little test. So there's that second magic reveal. Let's just hit, I'm just gonna, is there any in the middle? Yeah, that one will work. The orange there, and this will be kind of our little test room. So we'll see how that goes when we get to that layer. And then I can decide if I want to mask them off or just not worry about it. And then this is where we'll find that out now, because I've got this next layer. So let's just see. A tiny bit. And let's see where this lines up now so I can, okay. So those three. So my color theory in my brain is not working well enough for me to be able to mentally decide if that's going to work or not. So I'd rather test out a sample run. You know what? That actually doesn't look too bad. It still looks blue over the top of the orange. So we probably will just let that go and see how it turns out. And the easiest on this is, on this layer, is line up all those tiny little flower pieces that you haven't done yet, as well as the centers of those little orange flowers. And then the rest will fall into place pretty easy. And this is Seaside, which is the next layer of the blue. I'm gonna go really good and heavy over that orange because I really want to make sure that I get that pop of color on there. I'm not as worried about, and I can go over a bit. I think layering stencils make all of us look like an artist, and it still leaves so much room to use your own colors, use your own pressure, mix colors. There's just so many ways to still be creative with them. All right, here is that next magic reveal. And that blue, like I said, that works. I'm glad I tested it so I didn't have to be scared, but now here is where we're really gonna deviate from nature. Are you ready? I'm not gonna do greens for the greenery. I'm not gonna do aquas like we do. I'm not even gonna do browns. I'm getting really brave. Hope it works. We're gonna do yellows for the leaves. What can go wrong, right? Here, I won't know if I don't try, and it sounded kind of fun. So bear with me and let's see how it works. I'm hoping it's just a really fresh spring. I kind of think of the first flowers of spring, how they have that really bright green on the leaves a lot of times. It's almost yellowy green. It's not as yellow as this, but that was kind of where the idea and inspiration came from. So here's hoping it works as well on this card as it does in my head. Okay, rubber meets the road. We're gonna kind of see what this looks like now. You ready? And you know what? I've got no complaints. I think that's really fun and unique. And you know, Roxanne, up to the last minute, I almost chickened out and switched to do the large flowers in the yellow and do the leaves in the blue. But I just decided, you know what? Nope, I decided to do it. I'm going to commit. I'm going to stick to it. So this is me being brave and stepping out of my normal comfort zone. This is our last pencil, and I'm going to jump up a couple of colors. Do sweet mustard so we get a little more contrast here in our layers on here. And because this is the first layer for some things, and I want to make sure there's a different look and variation, and I actually want a good bit of contrast. There's one more. Sometimes when your stencils come new, a couple little pieces might not, I don't have it very often, but this set I noticed a few that have a couple of the little negative spaces still in the stencils. And there's another one. They must have needed to replace the blades the days that this came through. So I think I've caught them all now. They're really easy. Just, I mean, you saw how easy. I just grabbed them and they popped right out. No problem at all. Okay, take off, and here is our final. And as pretty as that looks, I think, oh, Lori, I didn't even think about the fact that I guess I've still got that in my head and got them on my mind. I didn't 100% didn't even think of that when I was pulling these out until I just saw what you guys said. A few people were saying that. All right, let's stamp over the top of that. I think that's going to make this really pop, and it's going to finish this off so nicely. Clean up my ink blending stuff. You know what, here, I also like to spray my desk with rubbing alcohol. I'll clean all those stencils later with rubbing alcohol. If you haven't been to one of our lives before, that's our favorite way to clean stencils. But also if you have a glass mat, it's a great way to make sure you don't have any ink there to mess up. And then make sure I put it in exactly the same way I did when I stamped it before I ink it up here. Let's make sure it's still, yep, lined up in the same corner. And let's add some detail black over the top of this and see what this does. All right, ready? I think with these bright colors that detail black is going to be particularly striking. That's what I'm hoping for. Oh, that's pretty. All right, like Leah, I'm a soft stamper, so I'm going to stamp this at least those 2 times, just because I like to make sure that I get everything inked up and stamped really well. All those last little spots there. Any little spots that I maybe didn't get enough pressure, and okay. And that, my friends, made that amazing. Look at that. All right, I'm gonna clean my stamp here. This is where I kind of have to deviate and make sure I forgot to get my rag dampened, so I've got a spray bottle of water handy. And then I can get it wet, spray it with a little bit of detail black ink. Use the super soft brush like Leah. Sometimes I don't even do that because I feel like that stamp cleaner and the damp cloth do a pretty good job of cleaning it up. But cleans up crisp and nice and easy. Okay. And I'll peel that off and put that away later. I don't have to do that right now. So that can postpone. I just wanted to make sure it was clean before I put it away. And then doesn't that stamp make those flowers just pop, Jenna? I was thinking the same thing. Like, again, you know, the whole unknown of doing things live. Part of me wasn't sure if I was gonna just love the way it looked with the gray and the stenciling and more of a no line look. But as soon as I finished, I could tell I really wanted the black, and it looks just as good as I hoped it would. So definitely worth the effort to do that. And same, I love green leaves. I love greenery. I love looking, quite often when I'm doing flowers, I'll look on Pinterest for inspiration from nature, because I think God did a good job when he created the flowers, but sometimes it's fun to put an artistic twist on them too, and just change things up. All right. That should be the end of our die cutting. Start pulling our pieces out and planning how, you know what, as I'm looking at this, I might switch up my plan and kind of tuck it. Ooh, I do kind of like that. Originally, I was just thinking behind, but I kind of like it kind of peeking through a little bit too. Let's try it the other way. I think I like it this way, but gotta make sure that don't like it better the other way. See, that looks pretty good too. But I think my sentiment will fit better if I stick with my original plan. So I think I'll maintain that here. Then it's just a question of what color of card base. And I pulled out a few options because I wasn't sure. Okay, there's a tea here, sorry. I feel like I'm super thirsty this afternoon. So I have a soft blue one. And that works, but it doesn't necessarily pop. A deeper blue. Again, it works. Let's see on the orange. Now I don't love the orange. The orange is a little too harsh. Now I'm looking on here, I'm going, I didn't even think about a yellow. I think it's going to be one of the blues. And I'm leaning towards the deeper blue because I think that's going to pop better. But the soft blue does kind of hit more of a spring vibe too. What do you think, guys? Deeper blue or softer blue? And as I'm seeing this too, I can tell I want the framing around the edge. So I am going to grab a stitched rectangle. See if I can fit that around in the die cut so it adds a little bit of framing to it as well. And I think, it's going to be tight, but I think it'll work. Yeah, I'm leaning towards the deeper blue too. A few comments. Well, like I said, I also love the fact that it feels a little more of a spring vibe with the. Make sure I have that centered just right. This. Once I get this trimmed down, if this helps too, because then you'll be able to see the color around the side. And I'm wondering if that will make a little bit of a difference as well. Okay, that was close, but it didn't cut off any of my frame. So we're good on that now. Now if I tuck this through again. See, and now that I have this on here, I think I like the lighter now with the frame showing around the edge. Or, okay, here's another idea. I think I have another plan, maybe. We'll see. Might grab a little scrap of this blue to put on the inside there and leave the outer deeper blue frame. It's a little more cardstock, but it kind of mixes the best of both. And I kind of like that idea because I feel like that bigger frame pops. Doesn't need to be quite as big. I think that is going to be the perfect happy medium. Why choose when you can do both? That's my theory, and I really like that. So we're going to go with that, and then the perfect spot there for our sentiment, and then we'll add some bling. Yes, it does make the flowers show up a little better. Okay, so let's plan there. I'm going to get my placement of those flowers. go like that. Need a lot more Post-it tape, it looks like. I've about used up this roll. And I'm going to tape that in place just so it doesn't move. And then trim this off because I also don't want to waste. I might be able to put these, they're a little scrap of florals to use. Maybe not, but if I have it there, I can decide if I want to tuck it in somewhere else. It's not cutting that much, so I don't feel like I was super wasteful for those that we stress out when we do that. And then really quickly, I like to just, when I have these in place how I want, I tuck a little bit of just plain old Scotch tape, nothing too fancy, just to hold them in place from the back. That way they're not going to shift. It's going to hold nice and sturdy. And I use foam adhesive to stick the whole thing down. I'm not going to have to worry about it shifting from where I know I want it. So I'm going to pop that up on foam adhesive. But first, I want to get my sentiment in there so I'm not stamping around. I'm not stamping around the florals popped up on foam. Let's go to the stamp set. And I absolutely love this little sentiment. Yesterday was heavy. Put it down. And now as I do this, there's the perfect spot, just enough space to fit it in there. Yay, I was hoping. Okay, I'm gonna leave these in here and held in place because I don't wanna risk anything shifting. And my small little detail black ink cube. It's just easier for these little sentiments. And I love to stamp sentiments multiple times with the magic of the Misty to make sure I get a really good impression, because I'd rather stamp soft and not risk losing any of that added dimension. Not dimension, detail. That was the word I was looking for. Wrong word. And then I have enough still moisture and stamp cleaner a lot of times that I can just do a quick little scrub over of that sentiment because it's so little and it came perfectly clean that easy. So sometimes I'll just do that instead of a whole nother spray and toothbrush. If it's a bigger sentiment, not necessarily, but I can get away with it on those little ones. I use any circle dies with the circle foil plates. Kathy, as far as I'm aware of, there aren't any just standard circle sizes. So we did make them to fit perfectly together. You have other plates and you want to test them out, I'm sure you could do that and they might work, but I wouldn't be able to guess or guarantee that. I would quite likely be wrong because there's so many different brands and sizes and everything else that, like I said, I've never been aware of a standard size per se for circle dies. Okay, get ready to watch Heather use too much foam adhesive because, you know, it's what I do. I know Leah's laughing already. Almost here. New roll of foam tape feels like it's stickier than the old one. Little tiny peekaboo hole there that I don't want to mess up, so I'm a little bit. I've got extra foam tape in my hand. It's going to go somewhere. I can't help myself. I really can't. when I stick this down, it's not going to go anywhere. I can nail it and it will be as stable as I can make it. That's my goal. Yes, Jenna, it is stickier. Now I have all these little bitty pieces. I have to peel all those off, but that's okay. That's right, Audrey. That is my theory. Even if I give it in hand, I'm not, you never know, it can get dropped or squished or something on the way. So yeah, especially in the mail, you really want that added stability for sure. This is going to be the part where I need to be careful and make sure I get it centered just right there with that sentiment, because that's the only part that really was super important. And I can see I already slid it a little bit over. So I'm going to just angle in here and trim that extra bit off just so it doesn't poke through and show. Easy fix. Susie, yes, we do. We get asked all the time if we're sisters or anything like that, but we just work together so much we can't help but sound similar, I guess. Right, and then the deeper blue card base to put all of this onto. And we're getting close. It's coming together. We just need to add some bling. For this, my plan is these lovely silver bits. These are the metallic silver pearls, one of the few that happen to be in stock. So here's where I have to decide what do we want to do with these. I'm going to try, we might go to random, but I'm going to try first the idea of a couple of little rows of bling. Let's see how these look. Sometimes you can't really tell until you get them on there. So ones are the hardest. If I do it, I would do opposite corners. So let's see how that looks. Another big one. My hand's gonna be, oh, there it is. Finally, right at the end, I found that big one. I'll grab a few of those back. I need to get one of those nifty little, trays to pop these in. It'll make my life a little bit easier. I don't want to detach from my fingers very well, but once again, I'm just kind of playing now to decide, do I like it like this or do I want to keep it kind of like with the geometric, I kind of like that geometric feel of it being on those opposing sides. It's kind of different. I kind of like it. It's very, kind of adds to that modern feel that we have already with that color combo and everything else. So I'm just going to be crazy and go for that different look. Just because sometimes it's fun to try something new. A little bit of Barely Arts glue. This might take, whoops, of course. I don't know if I cleaned this well enough last time. Let's see if that'll work now. There we go. And I think this would look great with the random too, but like I said, I really feel like that modern vibe you get from doing it in a distinct row. And I could just do a trio of the different sizes, but again, I kind of liked the the larger row. I feel like it just kind of filled that space. Okay. Wiggle those around, so I'm happy with them. Oh, that's fun. Main thing I'm doing is centering the first one and then making sure I put the others just similar to the top so that they're placed fairly balanced. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and focus and not always super efficient at both. Especially this, where they need to be a little more precise on the lineup. I can always tell it takes me more focus there. All right, I think that worked. I think we're even. Clean that off real quick, just so I don't end up with that jumped up on me next time. There's just a different way to add bling than maybe what you would originally choose. I love how it fills that space. I almost felt like I had too much white space out there, and that just filled those in and finished off. Now, I don't have to, but I kind of want to finish off the inside here with that little frame spot so that you can add a little note on there. So I'm going to do that and make use of that foil so we don't waste. And I could even cut another window out of the center of it, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I just think that this is a fun way to embellish. I'm kind of getting into enjoying tucking little things on the inside. In fact, so I ponder that. I don't know. That'll tuck under and really work. I don't know. I like the idea of it, but I don't know if I really love the just try it there. You know, that actually works okay over there. And I think it balances out with the front of the card. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put that on there. And then we've used every last bit of that floral. If I wanted to, I could add some more other bits of floral on there, but I think that's just a teensy tiny bit of something interesting on the inside without being too overwhelming. And then it doesn't waste anything on this card. Yeah, and I probably could have put it under the silver too, but I think I've already, yeah, it's already taped down and committed. That probably would have worked too, but in between kind of works and brings that out a little more. So, all right, we are done. Are we on time? Oh, we are just barely on time. I'm going to turn this camera on and let Leah announce our winner. And thank you everyone for joining me today. Appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. We always love to see, yeah, I know behind the silver frame, I'm seeing a few votes for that. It probably would have worked better there, but another option is I could have just popped this frame in here too and would have given a different look as well, but I kind of liked those in there. Oh, sorry, I forgot that wasn't down on my desk. I also could have put my negative foil piece into that inside there, but I think we've got enough going on there real quick. There's this, I know this camera isn't great, but sometimes the lighting's a little bit better to kind of see how it all came together. All right, as soon as Leah gets the winner, then I will go and announce this. And there we go. I see the winner is Linda Story. Congratulations. Thank you so much for leaving comments to have a chance to win today. You can email Leah at pinkfreshstudio.com to claim your prize. Her name is spelled L-E-A. There's no H on the end. And she will get that out to you in 2 to 3 business days. So sometime later this week. And right now our plan, Leah should be live on Facebook on Thursday. Then we'll have Scrapbook Live on Friday this week with Natalie. And next week we should be on schedule to do our sneak peek for our April release, which is right at the very end of next week. We kind of had to push it out as far as possible. So be watching next week and we'll be ready to do a sneak peek of that new release. Excited to share that with you. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. Have a great week and we will see you all soon.